see Hobble Dog's making it. It's difficult for her, but you know, really it's only been a short time for her. November for the first op, so that's what, 5 months ago, and then January for the next, 3 months ago. Can you hear that weird noise? Oh, it's a Maggie. Can you see that magpie? Anyway, look, what we're going to try and do is just have a quick look at this BMW, see if we can pop off that seat. Now remember that one of these doors, I think it's the passenger side. Yeah, this one's okay. We can't open. This one works fine. Let's see about taking off these, the ashtray, and isn't it funny, ashtrays in cars? The ashtray and door handle, and then see about removing the seats. Do you recall in the last video I said that I thought I had a couple of Strombergs and a manifold, and I just needed to check in the boot, and guess what I found? A couple of what look like Strombergs. Let's have a look. There we go. Strombergs. And the manifold. Well, the instructions, well, in fact, in the book there's no instructions at all. But then I used Google Gemini or whatever it's called, and it said just pull the seat up. But in fact, you can't do that because, is this on? There's this single bolt right there. Let's see if we can get that off. So once you've done that, you can pull that seat up. There's a screw at the front. I'll show you on this side here. So it's just a matter of moving this trim back. This particular trim is broken. But then there's also two screws up under here. I'll show you here and here. Can you see those? And I had to take the seat out so I could get to the underneath of that door armrest. Just these two screws behind here, and then that should come off. Handle off. So this here, I'm not certain how this works, but there might be a grub screw or something in there. Have a look. Likewise here, these often have that Jesus clip, but we'll do a bit of experimentation. I cannot find any kind of a grub screw or screw of any sort in there, but I can see in there what looks like a spring catch or clip. Let's try levering on that. That I showed you before was like a spring clip or something in here, but in fact it's that thing there. Can you see that? It's the end of that trim piece, and when you push on it, it pops that trim piece out. Now I can't see whether there's a screw in there or not. Maybe you could tell me. Let's get a different position. So what I can see is what looks like a white, it looks plastic, it could be metal, screw. Let's have a go with the screwdriver. There we go, it is, I think it is metal, but it's some sort of alloy and it's off. So I'm guessing this is the same. So if we lever that cover off, this is pretty interesting actually. I've never seen anything quite like this before in my life, but it will certainly help others who've got an E12 trying to figure out how do you get them off, because you'd be looking for a Jesus clip down there. But I'll bet if we lever that cover off, we'll find a screw in there, just like we found a screw in this one. Yep, that's exactly what we found. Can you see that in there? That little screw. Let's get a screwdriver on that. So we've got that off there, you see that? And that's the handle there on the floor. And this here is the bit that's busted. And I can see just a faint hint of something plastic underneath. And I suspect that that's what's given way. So it looks as if I could be right, but what we'll do is just remove this here from there, so it can slide through, even if it drops down inside when we pull it all off. If my memory serves me well, there will be at least one bolt holding this on, and that might be it under there. Can you see that? Let's at least take that off and then see if that back seat comes off. Well, I found it, and it's actually tucked in here, so I don't know if you can see that there or not, but there's a plate right there and that bolt, and that's holding it in. So there'll be one of those on both sides, and I reckon that'll be it. So there it is for you E12 owners. There's one right there in the middle. Can you see that? And then there's one on each side, which is right there. So I've pulled those out now. There's no reason that seat shouldn't just come right out. Like so. Look, a quick tip I want to give you too, by the way, is that see this trim piece here, this chrome, a flaking chrome piece. In order to pull that back, you need to push it back towards the rear of the car, if that makes sense, because there's a little clip just in there, and it clips on that. So remember that, if you try and just lever it off, it might well break. Okay, so the seat's out, and that trim is fully exposed. There's really no reason why we couldn't take that whole door trim off, and then we can open that door and find out what the problem is. That's pretty satisfying actually, that it's not pinned in by seals or anything. Now we just had a tea break, so we're getting back into it again, and all we're going to do really today is just take off that door trim so we can just identify what the issue is. And then we can do a bit of research on she's given up. Identify what the issue is with regard to fixing that pull thingy. Now this door here, I'm going to prop this open. Have a look at this here. See this little thingy? It's not gripping anything at all inside the door. We're going to have to repeat the process on this side and figure out what the hell is missing there. There's a tiny screw, which is really quite difficult to see, right there. See that? Let's see if we can get that with a little screwdriver. Finally. So it looks as if it was pinned by that little strip of vinyl, and I think once we take that out, that whole thing will come off. Let's do that. So the way we got it off in the end was to take off this, and that is the pivot on which that worked, and then I was able then to push it back towards the lock, and then that loosened it. But that's mighty tricky to get to when something like this happens. So there's the release right there. And for now we'll just put the washers and the nut back on that. But now we've done that, we know what the issue is, and it's a busted connector. So I think probably if we take all of this out, take this whole connecting rod out, that's that bar that you see there, from wherever it hooks on, and see if we can figure out what the other part of this is. Well, it's late in the day. Everyone's getting restless. Maybe we'll call it quits. So we put that back on. That's the pivot point. We have to see how that actually works, and see if we can fabricate something that will do the trick of connecting those two. It's a pretty simple looking piece of plastic in that case, but I'm sure we could make something that was out of metal that might do the same job. Anyway, for now, let's grab that window winder. We'll wind the window up, and we'll shut her up. We'll come back to it another time. Are you declaring the job done, are you, love? Well, it is job done for today anyway, and we got that seat out and we got that door cover off finally. We were able to figure out what the part is that's busted, but of course it's whether we can replace that or whether we have to try and make something up that will do the trick. But I think we'll call it Job well done, and we'll get this uploaded and we'll talk to you soon.